By now you've probably heard of Trump's 90-day immigration ban, effectively targeting 7 Muslim-majority countries. With the news of the DHS reversing the effects of the ban, more questions are left in the air. This doesn't change the fact that many visas have been cancelled and revoked as a result of the ban. Though most see this event as shocking, extreme vetting was put into effect ever since 9/11, if not before. In fact, the visa process in the past was extremely strict to the point of it being impossible to enter.
The Bush administration had made it really hard for students from certain countries to obtain visa. Despite the fact that nothing was written in the law, there were some provisions.
This is Zara Fakhrai. She's a chemistry professor here at Penn, as well as an Iranian-born green card holder. Here she discusses the visa restrictions that her and her husband experienced when they were trying to enter the United States for the first time.
So after 4 times of applying, we were told to never apply for US visa again, and we decided to go to Canada to continue our studies in University of Waterloo. There has always been policies that were discriminatory. When we travel and we go to the border, once in a while I'm subject to extra scrutiny. There is extra background check, there is extra questions that I have to answer.
If you're Iranian, there is like a 99% chance that they will send you through a background check.
This is Fareshte Abbasi, who is also Iranian. She's a Penn engineer alum currently living in Grenada. She received her undergraduate degree in Iran and did well enough to receive admission into Penn and came to the US on a student visa. Recently, she left her job in the US temporarily to be with her husband.
And I'm among the lucky people. I had to wait 10 weeks for my background check to go through. I had friends who had to wait 8 months. You plan for your future and your plans get stuck in that background check until it's over.
In situations like this, the DHS is always allowed to call upon terrorism as a form of justifications for its undemocratic actions.
We need to make sure that extremists do not exploit this pathway to our country, especially from terrorist safe havens.
This is a shock event. It's all you can see everywhere. It's a shock event made to horrify you. A historian from Boston College named Heather Cox Richardson describes how people in power will benefit off cataclysmic events because it throws society into a state of chaos and confusion. As a result, they help further divide the public to the point where outrage is directed away from other clearly insidious policies. In her Facebook post, she describes that as society reels and tempers run high, those responsible for the shock event perform a sleight of hand to achieve their real goal, a goal they know to be hugely unpopular, but from which everyone has been distracted as they fight over the initial event. Under the Bush administration, the NSEERS program was created, which essentially acts as a deportation plan and registry for Muslim immigrants to the U.S. In 2015, under the Obama administration, the Department of Homeland Security created the Visa Waiver Program Improvement and Terrorist Travel Prevention Act, which was the first enumeration of the countries that Trump is currently vetting. Clearly, extreme vetting was always a founding principle of American immigration, and this shock event is no different. What this calls us to do is retain the values we've seen in the marches and continually fight for them, so that when we say let them in, we really mean it. But instead of focusing our arguments on terrorism and counterterrorism, we have to look at the common denominator that creates empathy, that allows us to understand each other as human beings and not groups. A significant human experience that allows us to empathize is family. So could you tell me more about maybe your family and how they're reacting to this and how they feel?
Yeah. So, my family obviously invested a lot in sending me to the US, and it was more like emotional investment, because for me it's hard to be away from them, but I'm sure it's still a lot harder for them. They feel like all the effort that we put into like sending me to the US is kind of now undone, and that the 3.5 years that I didn't see them just so that I could stick to my school and don't risk my situation legislation. Like, it feels like now it was all for nothing.
What we did was we focused on, instead of religion, danger. The areas of the world that create danger for us, which is a factual basis, not a religious basis. Perfectly legal, perfectly sensible, and that's what the ban is based on.
I don't understand this ban because extreme betting was already in place for us. We were not like European citizens that could enter the country whenever they wanted. We had to go to U.S. Embassy, wait for long background checks, be questioned at the airport longer than anybody else to enter the country. So when I hear extreme betting, I'm like, what else do you want to do? Like, you know, like, yeah, I'm confused, frankly.